Welcome, everyone. Please rise, and we're going to say the pledge and remain standing for the prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Almighty Father, we gather together to make decisions for our community. May we use our best skills and judgment, keeping ourselves neutral and impartial as we consider the merits and pitfalls of each matter that is placed before us today, and always act in accordance with what is best for our community and our fellow citizens. Amen. I'd like to call this meeting to order on Tuesday, May 7th at 2019 at 6:34 p.m. Can I have roll call, please?
Alderman Braun.
Here.
Alderman Berube.
Here.
Alderman Pecoraro.
Here.
Alderman Tylek.
Here.
President Zilka.
Here.
Also present, Mayor Arthur Pappas, City Attorney Luke Brown.
Mayor, do you have any opening comments before we begin?
Not at this time, Mr. President.
Sure.
Excuse me. We could call Mr. Carl Bauer up. Just to have a short proclamation here. As many of you know, Mr. Bauer is in charge of Twin Cities Meals on Wheels. And we, here in the Twin Cities, you know that they provide quite a service. And May happens to be Twin Cities Meals on Wheels month.
Actually, National Meals on Wheels month too, so.
Okay, so we'd like to present this proclamation. Whereas Twin Cities Meals on Wheels is in its 46th year of service to the city of North Tonawanda. They have 5 delivery routes in North Tonawanda and serve over 100 residents each day. And whereas they have about 120 volunteers who help prepare and deliver meals and have only 3 paid staff, cook, assistant cook, and coordinator. Whereas Meals on Wheels receives no government subsidies. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Arthur G. Pappas, by the power vested in me as mayor of the city of North Tonawanda and the North Tonawanda Common Council, extends their deepest appreciation and gratitude for all that volunteer their time and do hereby proclaim May Twin Cities Meals on Wheels Month. In witness hereof, I have set my hand and caused to be affixed the seal of our city on the 7th day of May in the year 2019. And if any of you have a chance, some of you may have volunteered for Meals on Wheels, and if you haven't, it's quite an experience. I know Carl has had myself and Mayor Davis from Tonawanda go through these routes a couple years in a row, and it's very, very rewarding, and to see how some of the people depend on this for their meals, and some just for the idea of those who are alone and have no family around, They really appreciate the socializing part of it too, and having someone come to their door and talk to them for a few minutes. So we thank Mr. Bauer and all those that volunteer on Meals on Wheels. Congratulations.
And if I may have about a minute and a half. I wasn't scheduled, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Mr. Mayor, council members, Mr. Parrish, Mr. Brown, my sincere thanks for recognizing the work that we do in the community, and that May is National Meals on Wheels Month. If I may, I'd like to mention that we are a volunteer organization made up of your friends and neighbors, with the operative word here being neighbors. While the recently formed organization Feed More, which is a collaboration of the Meals on Wheels Foundation of Western New York and the Food Bank of Western New York, does do some good things, certainly. They are also working with some profit and not-for-profit agencies that serve seniors in our community and are essentially snagging some of our clients through these agencies. Again, as the mayor mentioned, Twin Cities Meals on Wheels, as Kenton, Amherst, Niagara Falls, Lockport, and others are volunteer agencies comprised of your neighbors. I'm telling you this because it's sort of a big brother potential takeover thing that could affect our ability to serve the community. So if you're aware of a family member, neighbor, or whoever that is in need of our hot meal service, please, please, please send them our way versus corporate America, where the CEO's salary is nearly half of our operating yearly budget. Yeah, and by the way, don't forget the coin jars that are sitting on your local merchants checkout counters all through this month. Again, thank you very much.
At this time, before I open up public comments for the agenda items, I'd like to have Lieutenant Rob Frank come up and make a presentation.
Hello, my name's Rob Frank. I work with the North Carolina Police Department. Back in April, I came to the council and informed them that I received a grant through the Federal Railroad Administration. Last year, it was brought up by our CSX supervisor, who runs all the railroad from here down to Pennsylvania. They wanted us to go for this federal railroad grant because they're having a lot of problems on the railroads, whether it's cars driving on there or people trespassing. There's finding a lot of different drugs, and the trains that are going through with CSX and Amtrak are seeing a lot of people that are partying on the sides of the tracks. And so there's a lot of issues. So I put in for a grant, and through some work, we ended up being one of 3 cities in the Upper East Coast that received it. There was another one over by Rochester, one out in Boston, Massachusetts. We received $24,000 out of a total of $50,000. Reason I'm bringing it up here is just to let the public know that starting at the end of this month, we will be doing patrols on the railroad tracks, whether it be the railroad tracks from Demler's over by Whitmer Road. It goes all the way to the Tonawanda Bridge, right on Sweeney Street there. It also runs here to parallel with Erie Avenue and runs all the way to the boulevard. So I'm just kind of informing everybody the safety that comes along with it, that will be out there, that we will be enforcing it. So just to kind of give everybody a heads up, so we don't want the citizens to wonder why all of a sudden people are getting tickets for being on their property. I brought some pamphlets over there that were given to me by the CSX. They put themselves and the North Tonawanda Police Department in the city of North Tonawanda on those. So if anybody would like to look at some safety tips, if anybody has any questions regarding it, you can always feel free to call me and let me know.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving forward, if anybody has any comments on tonight's agenda and the agenda only, please step forward and state your name and address for the record. Anybody with any comments on tonight's agenda? Seeing that there's none, we'll move forward with the agenda.
On to approval of the minutes of the regular session on April 16, 2019.
So moved.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried.
On to proof of publication, published 3/28 and 4/4/2019, legal notice, treasurer's notice for the collection of the 2019 city taxes from the city clerk treasurer, also proof of publication, published 4/3/2019, legal notice, summary of bond resolution from the city clerk treasurer, and legal notice, wastewater treatment plant, invitation for bids for waste hauling and disposal from the city clerk treasurer.
Make the motion, we receive and file.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried.
Yeah. Who seconded that, Austin?
Yep.
And then, just because there was one more, proof of publication, published 4/10/2019, legal notice, summary of bond resolution from the city clerk treasurer.
I'll make that motion also for receive and file.
I'll second. We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried.
Moving on to communications from city officials. Number one, from Austin Tylek regarding approval of agreement for open pace.
If I could just make a comment, it's been a long, journey, it's been about 5-6 months working with, a lot of you up here, some of our department heads. I think this program will be a real benefit for our community. I know Niagara County has it on their agenda for tonight as well, and it's really just gonna be another tool for, commercial property owners to get low interest loans on clean energy improvements in the property. So it's really a step forward for streets like Oliver Street and River Road to just, help them move forward. So thank you for everyone who was participating. I hope to have your support. So I'd like to make a motion on this.
I'll second
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried.
From the Office of the Clerk Treasurer regarding approval of a committee to establish a city market rules and regulations, and I'll just speak on this for a second. Basically, we had a market vendor meeting a while back, and one of the issues was that there is no set rules or regulations in any sort, so it's kind of just the market clerk, Dale Rogers, and myself and the mayor kind of just going about things in the best way that we know possible, and most other successful markets have a policy. Basically, we're kind of modeling it off of Rochester's, which is about the best one right now. So, I have a good chunk of it done, and I would just like to put together a committee, and there's a few individuals, who we would like to see in it, so if that's okay with all of you.
So, go ahead, Don.
Well, I'd like to thank Matt for moving forward with this, because I also had a meeting with the vendors probably a year and a half ago. And their complaint was, the rules and regulations and, of course, different improvements at the market. So I thank you for putting it together.
And this would be, there would be no charter change or anything like that. It would just simply be a policy that would expect it to be followed by the vendors and the general public, just posted at the market.
I don't think it's a bad idea, I'm kind of curious, like, what are some of the things they might address, like cost of, their vendor fees, or is it,
Yep,
we have issues with dogs or stuff like
Both-
that?
both
It's like
of-
our traffic safety committee.
Right,
Okay.
both of those are basically on, what we have so far, those are both on there.
Do we have like a resolution written up that would like sort of enforce anything, or are they a recommendation that we would ultimately approve every time? How would that work exactly?
We haven't determined the terms of reference
Okay.
for this committee yet. It's just.
So we're
I'm
just
just asking
Forming
to
the
establish the
committee.
committee
Yeah.
to formulate
you're
the
just
rules and regulations.
submitting information, basically. We're not approving the actual committee, it's just to move forward in this direction,
To establish it.
to establish it.
Yeah,
But we don't know
yes.
what the rules are gonna be yet.
Correct, the committee is established to create those rules.
Okay, And we'll ultimately have to approve those rules as well.
Correct.
Okay.
And I'd like to make a motion to grant approval for this committee.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried.
From the Office of the Engineer regarding 2018 draft annual stormwater report. Chelsea, did you want to speak on behalf of this?
This is just the draft annual report for, the stormwater. Basically, it's all of the positive things that the city has been doing in regards to, stormwater management, be it street cleaning, catch basin cleaning, that kind of stuff, that the DEC requires annually. So, the draft should be up on the website sometime this week for public review.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And also, I get, can we just go to the other
Sure.
thing I have?
Yeah.
And with that, we, contract out, some, assistance with doing the draft report as well as a lot of the program assistance, with J.M. Davidson Engineering. So there's also the agreement, for her services for the fall, this coming up year, which includes, inspections of our ponds, inspections, helping with SWIP inspection, reviews and the like, so.
Great.
Thank you.
I'll make the motion that we encourage public awareness and involvement in the stormwater pollution prevention program.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried.
And then we will also move on to, from the Engineers Department regarding approval of the North Tonawanda Stormwater Program Assistance Agreement, which is the second item that Chelsea spoke about, but we'll need another motion on that.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second on that. We have, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried.
From the Office of the Superintendent of Wastewater/Water regarding permission to attend the NYWEA 2019 Annual Spring Technical Conference.
I'll make the motion on that. I think it's important to continue education, so.
I'll second
I
it.
agree.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried.
Bill, you didn't even have to come up here and talk. From the Office of the Accountant regarding payment of the abstract of claims dated May 7, 2019.
Make a motion to pay the abstract.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Can I have roll call, please?
Alderman Braun.
Aye.
Alderman Berube.
Aye.
Alderman Pecoraro.
Aye.
Alderman Tyler.
Aye.
President Zazilka.
Aye. Motion is carried.
From the Office of the Accountant regarding budgetary transfer for emergency sewer repairs on Worlther Drive.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Can I have roll call on this as well?
Alderman Braun.
Aye.
Alderman Berube.
Aye.
Alderman Pecoraro.
Aye.
Alderman Tyler.
Aye.
President Zazilka.
Aye. Motion carries.
From the Department of Youth, Recreation, and Parks regarding permission to hold the WNY Country Music Festival at Gratwood Park Saturday, August 10th, 2019 to Sunday, August 11th, 2019. This is something that's been discussed for a while. Alex, are you good with this, or do you want to go up and talk? Does anybody need?
I think so. It was just a long endeavor.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of
A lot of discussion and here we are.
So essentially, this is, Mr. Gallo, I believe is here today, had come up to us months and months and months ago with the idea of doing a concert series, a country music 3-day event. We met with all the department heads and a couple of council members, and we went over all the logistics of it, and we gave him our concerns, some of that which being 3 days might be a little too long, especially for a first-time event. So we peeled it back to 2 days. Some more concessions. One of the big concessions was police and fire enforcement, making sure that we have that and that they would be recouping the cost of the city for that. So our last meeting, we sat down and drafted that out along with the financials in regards to how much that would cost and put that in a proposal. And as long as we're within the framework of that proposal, the city's comfortable in doing the concert series.
Thank you.
Thank you.
there was a lot of give and take, and I think the city got everything they wanted.
All right, can we have a motion?
I'd like to make that motion.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried.
From traffic safety regarding various traffic safety recommendations from their April meeting.
I'll make a motion.
Please.
Oh, did you have it? Awesome.
I don't know the order of this, but the one comment, did we get, an understanding of where the actual signs are going? There's two sort of grass, terraces. Do we know which one? Is it directly in front of Al's property?
Rob, do you wanna?
Yeah, I don't.
Is it directly in front of Al's property? Okay, so, and,
The reason we came up with the two spots was there's multiple businesses over there. We felt that if we put in two spots in front of his, it was enough, and it would only be 8 to 4, Monday through Friday. So with the new place going across the street, Brownies, it shouldn't, I mean, it might affect some, if he has a lot of people during the afternoon, but we can't just base it off one business. So we didn't think two spots was a big deal for how many spots are really up and down that street. And if somebody has to walk a half a block, which takes 20 seconds, it is what it is.
so,
Yeah.
thank you, Rob. And, I did actually speak to Steve Brown too. I ran into him, who's the owner of Brownies, and so everyone knows.
I believe from, and I might be wrong about this, but I believe Mr. Brown and Mr. Ridge are talking, and they're gonna try to work things out, themselves also, I believe.
So, and this was sort of a compromise that, you know, he didn't really want it in the spot directly in front of his, if it was in front of, Mr. Ridge's.
Yeah,
Property was-
they've been working that out, and they're working that out with Mr.
Just so you
Dagler
guys know.
to have the right spots. I know there's a big lot right there, and again, maybe I'm wrong, maybe
Either
anybody
way.
knows this, but I know part of the problem with the lot and people parking there was, insurance purposes.
Okay. Yeah.
And if it's till 4 o'clock, it shouldn't
Yeah.
interfere too much with
Only
the.
lunch.
Yeah, most of his,
Brownies.
most of his business, I would believe,
Right.
would be at night on weekends, so.
Sure.
We didn't wanna put on Sundays in case he had a crowd for bills and stuff like that, and Mr. Ridge doesn't, I don't believe, even open on Sundays.
Great,
Thank you.
thank you.
Lieutenant Frank, if you have a minute sometime tomorrow, could you just stop in? We have another issue that came up or concern, and I don't know what can be done about it. It's one of those situations with traffic that, I don't know if there is any one good answer, so maybe you can help out with the committee,
Yes, sir.
if you can just stop tomorrow sometime. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. I'd like to make the motion that we accept the recommendations.
A second,
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried.
From the Office of the Building Inspector regarding approval of the 2019 weed cutting contract.
I'll make a motion, we go and accept that contract.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Can I have a roll call?
Alderman Braun,
Aye.
Alderman Bruvy,
Aye.
Alderman Pecoraro.
Aye.
Alderman Tyler,
aye.
President Zilka.
Aye, motion carries.
You wanna- Moving on to monthly reports from the Office of the Clerk Treasurer, and the Senior Citizen Center.
Make the motion, we receive and file.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried.
On to communications from others, from Project 308 Art Gallery regarding permission to close Oliver Street from Robinson to Shank on Sunday, August 17, 2019 for the Oliver Street Art Festival.
I'll make the motion. And I'd like to congratulate Natalie for, continuing this. It's the 6th year for it, and, it's, built up so well over the last 6 years.
Yeah, I'm gonna second that. I think Oliver Street's really becoming a destination because of what Natalie's hard work and dedication are doing, so we need to do whatever it takes to help and assist her in that venture.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I'm not sure who submitted this, but I don't know how to say this last name. From Ralph Lafreniere regarding permission to be appointed as a commissioner of deeds for the city of North Tonawanda.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried.
From NT National Little League regarding permission to have their annual opening day parade Saturday, May 18th, 2019.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it. That's always a fun event.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
From the Carnegie Arts Center regarding permission to close Webster Street from Goundry to Main Street Monday, July 8th, 2019 for the Farm to Table Artisans Block Party.
I'll make that motion. Oh, I'm sorry, let Donna do it. I'll second it. Go ahead.
Motion made by Don Braun, seconded by Bob Pecora.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried.
From I Hope Community Church regarding permission to place a sign in front of Veterans Park from May 23rd through June 23rd to advertise their services at the park.
I just had a question on this because, I asked about it last time, nothing was really said, so we're just letting them advertise on public property? Do they do it every year?
Yeah.
Okay, alright. It just seemed different. Okay.
So anybody ever make a motion on that?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it. We have a motion and a second for permission to place a sign. Any, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried.
From NT Intermediate School regarding permission to hold their Colorathon Family Fun Run Friday, June 14th, 2019.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
From NT American Babe Ruth Baseball regarding permission to close off Walk Road Saturday, July 13th, 2019 for a small parade.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it. We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We need a motion to bring a late com to the floor.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's on the floor. This late com, is regarding, Luke, did you want to speak on it, or?
Sure. It's from the city accountant's office, but Amanda's not here tonight. Essentially, it's approving an insurance rate lock as we rebid the health insurance. So the health insurance contract with our broker is up at the end of June of this year. In order for them to put in a new bid, they need to be able to have rates to work off of. It's not locking us into this broker, it's just allowing them to go forward for a bid with that rate. So we expect multiple brokers to bid on it. So this isn't locking the city in anything, it's just essentially allowing them to have a rate to move forward and present a bid. Whether they win it or not, that'll be discussed further down the road, and I'm sure Amanda will set up a committee to go through all that. But it's not locking the city in anything, it's just giving our current broker a rate that they can move forward with a bid.
And it'll also allow us to have the mayor sign, the extension and the deadline for, the other part of this, right?
Right, so that'll allow them to continue to handle I mean, we don't really need to because the contract's on June 30th, but it'll allow them to handle it, our information, and complete their bid.
All right.
I think overall, this allows us the best flexibility to get the best rates for the best healthcare for our employees and the best due diligence for the residents of North Tonawanda overall.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
It's essentially like locking in an interest rate with a mortgage. It's the worst case scenario. Now you're gonna get multiple brokers coming in, and bidding on this and, you know, trying to undercut each other, which is.
What you want, right?
Yeah, competitive bidding.
Exactly what you want.
I'll make the motion to accept this.
I'm gonna second it.
We have a motion and a second.
On the question, can we, just go over the wording of that? How are we approving this? What would,
So you're allow the mayor to sign the rate lock pending final wording approval by the city attorney's office.
okay, pending the approval.
Yep.
Okay.
'Cause
Just to
we're-
make sure
we're
we have
going
the
back-
wording right.
Right, because we've been going, and the other issue that came up was, and I hate late comms as much as anybody else. The other issue that came up is, once the insurance company comes up with the rates and it's provided to the city, we only have 14 days to lock that. So we got the rate after our last meeting, because there was 5 meetings last month. So kind of,
526.
yeah,
Yep.
we kind of got caught in the middle there. So that's why it's on for late com.
Thank you.
Thank you for the explanation.
Just, if anybody missed it, motion made by Eric Zilka, seconded by Bob Pecoraro.
We have a motion and a second. Let's do a roll call on it.
Alderman Braun.
Aye.
Alderman Berube.
Aye.
Alderman Pecoraro.
Aye.
Alderman Tyler.
Aye.
President Zilka.
Aye, motion carries. That concludes the agenda. If anybody wants to come up and speak on any city business for the good of the city, please step forward, state your name and address for the record.
Carl Bauer, 1066 East Robinson Street. Just so the issue doesn't die, and because it's been of interest lately, I wanted to commend the efforts of Chelsea Spar and the agency that have been working on the memorial pool issue. I found it interesting that the article and that the polling that Mia Summerson, as well as some of the other media did, largely paralleled the survey done by the agency. I don't personally have any strong feelings about memorial pool, but I do seem to think it has outlived its usefulness. I know that many residents spent a lot of time there in the summer when they were growing up, but that was more than a few years ago. It is probably time to move forward, and at the same time, I realize that this poses quite a challenge for the city and the council from a financial standpoint. Lastly, I thought it was interesting that the person who was quoted in the newspaper as saying, "Fix it and leave it alone," is in the midst of selling her home and moving to North Carolina. Oh, well.
Thank you, Carl. Anybody else wishing to speak on any city business for the good of the city, please step forward.
Hi, Kelly Konjerski, 118 Pine Street, and we are representing Slow Row Buffalo concerning the bike stampede that we're hoping will be taking place on August 31st. And I just wanted to clear up a couple of things and express our concerns for the contentiousness of everything we've been reading and seeing on TV about this upcoming ride. In all of the suburbs that we've done bike pedal parties and stampedes and non-Monday slow roll events, we've never had so many issues getting approval. We had a sponsor, it went through, it was fine. And just to clear up a couple things, we've never had more than 600 people on a non-Monday ride. 10, 15 minutes we get through. That ride was in Eden last summer. Generally, it's 200 to 300, maybe 400 at the most. I was, as a resident, really disappointed when last year's ride was canceled. We thought that the issues and the objections were talked and approved by the chief. Really hoping that it goes through this year. If there's any questions, feel free to reach out. Once again, I'm at 118 Pine Street, send me a letter.
You know, I love the slow roll. I participated in the slow roll. The only, and the two things I look at when we do an event in North Tonawanda is that we want it to be safe and we want it to be successful. And slow roll knows how to be safe and to be successful, and I appreciate that. The only objection, if you want to call it that, is the process of what needs to be approved formally. And my position is, anytime you commit city resources to a function, it needs council approval. There's not one council member here that is against the slow roll. We all love the function, we love the, and want to have that in North Tonawanda. So I wanna make that perfectly clear. The only thing that I am concerned with is that anytime we commit city resources, the council should be advised and appropriately asked.
So, and can I just intervene? So, and safety, of course, right, and city resources were two of the items that you had talked about. And as maybe some know and don't know, the chief did approve the routes, this year. He did give a recommendation to, the auxiliary police, whoever can volunteer for that day. And I've already been sort of talking to some of the auxiliary police, whether or not they can. And 2 police officers, which would cost about $350, somewhere around there. And those 2 police officers would be on bikes and, you know, patrol with everyone, as well as the staff of Slow Roll and so on. And one other point, if I may. And the process, and Bob, I understand that, you know, we had a lot of events today that we approved, right? And some people came in, some people didn't, you know, some needed police, some don't. Some we don't know if they need police, but sometimes they end up getting police without us even knowing. And that's where I sort of was a little like, well, you know, some events do get overtime police, but we don't necessarily get that information when we approve it. So, just one more second. So with this, you know, in the process, I understand the perspective on procedures and process. I'm all about that. But when it's not in the code, or at least I can't reference something in the code, I want to work with you to create those processes, right? We can do that moving forward, you know, but right now, I'm a loss of information for that.
I'd like to see the route. I don't think that formally the council's seen the route.
So, and yeah, we can definitely send that your way and, you know, of course, again, the chief.
So you're
looks it over.
saying that we can commit, any one of us can commit city resources without approval?
And so the city isn't paying that $350, right?
It doesn't matter, it's a
So-
city
Using our
resource.
services.
So, well, and that's part of my question too, so like with some events, there's overtime from the police, but we didn't approve the overtime other than we approved it in a budget, right? So when we approve the budget for the amount of overtime, and we get reports all the time on that, you know, we've already approved the overtime that is allocated for whatever the chief feels is necessary.
If I just may add 2
Yes.
things, again, all towns and councils are different, but never had we had to go through or get approval from a town to go. Clarence, in fact, on the second run, they supplied and wanted their police to be involved in it, just to be a presence, but never had to go through anyone to approve it. I realize all towns and councils could be different, but it's never been something that we've dealt with in any town, anywhere, or set up. And from going to other places in town, I haven't been in North Tonawanda in a long time. I came out to see Dockside, it's beautiful, we went back up, sat outside. You're gonna bring 300-400 people in your city that don't normally get here, and they're gonna come back. Clarence last year, I went to 2 stampedes. I've been back out to Penny Lane since then, so you get that out of it as well. And
Yeah.
they supply the security, the rides, it's all blocked. And I wanna work with them, we do have the 2 police officers riding and the auxiliary on board for it.
So I think this is really like a big learning piece to
Yeah.
move forward, and like if there are some questions about our process, that we sort of define those, and we all, it seems, agree that it's a great event to bring to the community. especially
No question, it's a
Yeah.
wonderful
North
event.
Tonawanda.
Yes.
Many of us have
It's-
participated in it before, it is wonderful, and we want to bring it to North Tonawanda.
And we would love to see you ride on that day.
And I
you can
will,
ride with
I
your
will
conscience
absolutely be
and get
riding.
to meet and shake hands with the
Yeah,
public.
Can I-
there's some sort of misinformation about us not
Yes.
supporting the event,
Totally.
only because we were asking for approval. I think
Yep.
that's not the same thing.
Okay.
And as you know, when the chief presented it, he had the most concerns to us
Okay.
than we had the concerns.
We just wanted to address some of the misconceptions that were in the article that I saw. Also, we'd love to meet, I'm a 5-year squad member. I'm a Corker. So we are the traffic people. We talk to the cars. We will break the ride. If the traffic is backed up, we will break the ride and get the cars through. So if that's a concern, we will meet with the police that are going to be involved, the auxiliary police, the police that are going to be on bikes, and we'll explain to them how we usually do it, and we'd love to work with them.
We can have that
Right,
conversation.
and I stated the last council meeting that I am totally for the slow roll. We wanna showcase our city, we love people to come into our city. My only objection was the process, because we do have procedures up here that we've done. I've been in charge of doing Flicks in the Park, which uses our auxiliary police, and I put a resolution in, and I just typed up another one, just to bring it to the council as a courtesy, so we know what was going on. We were not aware that this was moving forward till we saw it in the paper, and that is all. And so I just put one together for you tonight, Matt, that we can talk at workshop on our kids parade. And all we're asking for is auxiliary police to assist in that. So I just see this as any different than that. So we do have processes that we have followed over the 6 years that I've been up here. And that's the only objection. We'd love to see you come. And you live right here on Pine Street in NT, that's great. And we have so many hidden treasures in the city. Why not bring people here?
Yeah.
That was the only problem. So there was a lot of misconceptions through reports also. So we weren't against it at all.
Okay.
And we still haven't seen the route.
Austin,
Austin, you were gonna get it to me.
So there is no procedure in place as of now, is what you're saying?
Yeah, we don't have a formal approval letter, but I
We
don't
don't
see no
have a
problem.
formal procedure, we
Yeah.
just sort of go by what we've done, right?
Right.
yeah, President.
We do the same thing for all.
If we're using police services, I don't see why we can't just have them.
So for the police services though, for the two policemen who are going to be riding, the city's not paying for that,
Correct.
to be clear.
But they're city
It's granting you the
resources.
services.
They are acting as city policemen on the ride.
Mhm.
Right,
That's why we need approval.
okay, but there's being paid for that. time.
Doesn't matter, by us letting you have police and paying their overtime does not mean that they do whatever you want them to do.
Oh,
They are
no,
still-
not at all.
They are still police officers and living,
We want them to do their
Yes.
job.
Right,
absolutely.
and again, there doesn't, there's one police to be in it, that's fine, but there do not have to be a police person in it. We've done several rides, Clarence as well, where we rode, and then they came to us and asked if they could be in it, but they weren't, because it is all taken care of. They're more than welcome, we love to have them ride, we love to have them meet with the public as well. It's a great way to meet on a social term again, instead of get pulled over with your car, you know, you're riding with them, hi. So it works both ways, and more than willing to pay that fee, but I understand what you're saying, I hear you.
Yeah, we want to follow the rules and
Yep.
get along with everyone, follow police, absolutely.
Okay.
We look forward to it.
Thank you.
We hope it's.
It's going forward.
Yeah.
And we're all gonna ride, we'll all be there, right? Have your
Hopefully
bikes
everyone
out.
at the council.
Alright.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you. Where are your guys' bikes? Oh, boy.
Anybody else have any comments on any city business for the good of the city, please step forward. Anybody else?
Just the one piece that, Sonia Juza, was it 123
You should
Hill
have
Street?
said something to
I-
Rob while
Well,
he was here.
can we just make sure to submit her
Submit it to
comments
the
to the
traffic
traffic safety?
Who got her email?
I did.
Forward it to Rob.
Okay,
Yeah.
I gave you all a copy though, right?
Yeah, we got a copy.
And I have her voicemail.
So did I.
Oh, yeah.
At this point, let's proceed to closing comments, starting with Alderman Bob Piccarello.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to say that, I want to thank the residents of North Tonawanda for their tremendous support to the Botanical Garden Committee this last weekend. Not only did the lacrosse team from the high school show up to do some really heavy hitting and hard work, but as you know, they're a 501c3, and they were doing a Chevetta's barbecue to raise funds for that organization. Spent all afternoon out there today, by the way, because there's a lot of work to be done out there, but great work is happening. They raised about $2,000, so I want to thank the residents who purchased tickets for their Chevetta's cook-off, because it was really a great function. The second thing I want to talk about is of course, congratulate Carl. Carl, we love Meals on Wheels. We love what Meals on Wheels does to enable our hub for services by getting the word out to those residents out there. It's wonderful, so thank you for that. Well-deserved recognition. And anytime we can encourage people to volunteer their time and efforts in helping you in meeting your mission, the better off we all are. Absolutely. Because of your encouragement of our hub, for the last 4 years, we've had this hub for services where we said our residents in North Tonawanda have to get something directly enabling them to the services they require as opposed to going to Lockport or Lewiston to get them. So we brought the services here. That has grown into not only the hub for services, but also a legal support monthly here at City Hall. And then, of course, our new clerk treasurer, Matt Parrish, brought in with his collaboration with our county treasurer clerk, Joe Jastrzebski, a pistol permit and passport office, also on a monthly basis here at City Hall. So great things are happening. I want to thank Matt for the hard work and dedication he did to put that together. I'm probably stealing your thunder, so I'm sorry about that. But he let me go first.
That's right, always go first.
And Austin, thanks for doing your due diligence and getting the PACE program moving forward. I think overall that's going to be a real highlight for residents overall. So thank you for that. That's all I had. Thank you.
Alderman Austin Tyler.
Hello, everyone. So yeah, Carl, of course, I think I see you here every meeting, so you're here more than I am, I think, sometimes, so and congratulations, of course. There's been a lot of questions about Memorial Pool lately. The one big one that I get, is it open this summer? It will be open this summer, in case there are any questions, so feel free to spread that. We're just doing a study, basically, to see how to move forward, and that's online. There's a draft online that everyone can review as well. The PACE program as well, again, I just want to reiterate, thank you to everyone for sort of moving it forward and just doing our due diligence. If anyone has any questions about it, feel free to ask me, or I'll give you a contact with the state, and I'll be working with our director of the Lower City Development Corp, Mike Zimmerman. He will be using as a tool to sort of promote business in North Tonawanda. So that's all I have, and thanks for coming.
Thank you. Alderwoman Donna Braun.
Thank you. Of course, thank you, Mr. Bauer, for all you do for our community. And I had already thanked Natalie Brown for the Oliver Street Art Festival. We do have another exciting art project coming to Oliver Street, and it'll be, you'll see art all along Oliver Street. So that's coming very soon. We will be hanging up the art.
Is that art or Arthur?
Art, no, art on Oliver Street. We also have another exciting project coming up. I'm sorry that Alex had left. We did get granted, we are going to be building a new playground this summer, July 27th. And if you are on social media or follow the Parks and Rec Department, we're gonna have some fundraising to do. We're gonna have a huge basket raffle, and we need the community support on designing the playground and also building the playground. So if you wanna have a hands-on building a playground, that'll be happening July 27th at Mayor's Park. So the grant was all in the efforts of Alex Demorowski for heading the project up. So I encourage you to go on the rec department page or on Facebook. It's all over Facebook. I share as much as I can, and I'm sure everybody else does up here. So with that said, I'd like to thank everyone for coming, and when we're all done, your students can come up and get your sheets signed.
Thank you. Alderman Mark Berube.
Not to repeat what everybody else has just said, so I've got nothing more to add.
Okay, thank you. Mayor Arthur Pappas.
I don't have very much, just everybody has said the thank yous. I just want to thank all those who volunteered for the cleanups recently with the canal and Oliver Street and Webster Street. There's a lot of people volunteer and put in so much time, and the weather wasn't the best. It was just a little bit cool out there and wet and damp, but people came out, so we want to thank all those who did that. We had high school students, we had senior citizens, we had everybody in between, and we appreciate that. Carl, again, for everything you do. It's actually been a privilege to come along with you at times to do this. I know you always say I slow everything up because I end up talking to the people. But,
He knows everybody in this city, plus a few more that are not in the city. A normal 25 to 30 minute route takes about an hour and a half. But we thank you, sir.
But that's a privilege. But again, just thank you to everybody for attending, and thank you for all your help and volunteer and your suggestions that come in on a daily basis to the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Art. City Attorney Luke Brown.
Sure, thanks. So I did just want to report back, last Tuesday was the first meeting for the marijuana ad hoc committee that was set up in the county. Essentially, we just had open roundtable discussion about everybody's concerns. It hasn't been passed yet in the state, so there's not too much we can comment on because we don't know the particulars of it, but the plan is once the bill is close to finalization, we'll have community forums with state representatives and things like that. And once we have those further down the line, I'll be able to give a fuller report, but that committee did kick off last Tuesday.
Thank you. Go ahead. And City Clerk Treasurer Matt Parrish.
Carl, congratulations. Thank you for everything that you do for everybody in the city. I'd also just like to express my condolences to the victims of the fire last week, the business owners. It was a terrible tragedy, and great job to all the first responders who had to go deal with that. I think they got it out, both police and fire and everybody else who was involved with that in a very, very timely and efficient manner. It was a terrible thing that happened, but great job to the first responders. And I would just like to say, that, Bob, thanks for all your help with the Hub for Services and everything else that we have going on up there. 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. tomorrow. If you're interested, come by and get your first-time passport or renewals or pistol permit amendments. So it's a nice, convenient service that we're going to start offering for the city. So
thank you.
That's all I have.
Art, did you have one?
Yeah, I forgot to mention just one thing. Next Tuesday, we have a little ribbon cutting going on down at Grantwick Riverside Park. We've installed a kiosk down there for those that want to launch their boats and get their passes. They can do that right there at the river instead of having to come to City Hall. They can get day-to-day pass instead of a season's pass or whatever, and this would be open to anyone who might be a boater. And again, the main reason I'm mentioning that tonight is because that was donated by Confer Plastics. Don Confer generously donated to have that installed and paid for. And so we're gonna have anybody that wants to attend, 10:30 Tuesday morning.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
And lastly, I just have a couple points to make. I do want to say, it was a great job by the fire companies and our firefighters that got involved with that fire on Division Street. I've actually reached out to some of the business owners. We're a city of good neighbors, and tried to work with them as they decide whether that's going to be a rebuilt area or they need to find a place now for their business. I think that's what we need to do. And so with community development, I've discussed some things with a couple of the owners there to help them, aid them with their best foot forward on where they need to do to pick up the pieces of their, horrific loss. Some of them already have some really hard way ahead. So we've got some discussions started, and They appreciated it, and we're hoping that they can, move forward with their businesses and get them set up, or at least temporary set up while they rebuild. Also, in regards to the canal cleanup, I did the canal cleanup, a lot of volunteers. It was great to see, you, the community, getting behind these two, that and the Botanical Gardens cleanup, which was very successful. We had a lot of cleanups. I believe we had 4, throughout the city in one day. But it didn't take away from the amount of help that we got, which was, I wanted to sincerely thank, everyone that participated. It got done, and it was done, a lot of hard work, and it was done well. And we look forward to, the more we do these, it seems the more that, good response we have and the more, we're able to accomplish. So look for more of those in the future. As far as Carl Bauer and the Meals on Wheels, I can say for myself, you know, it's a partnership with the city throughout the last 2 years, and it's working well. Whether he partners with the city or he partners with different events going on at the Gratwick Park or throughout the city, I think he's kind of like that reminder that we help our people in need. So thank you to him for that as well. Other than that, I just want to thank everyone for coming out, for all your comments. And with that, I need a motion to adjourn.
Second.
The motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting is adjourned.
We're in a conference. I don't know, I'm getting pictures of stories. I don't know. Working.